I love what
Yeah,
you're all doing. So I'm also letting them know that like if you can't make today, that's okay. It's monthly, so
yeah,
getting the word out.
no, definitely. Hey, Spencer, how you doing, man?
Yes,
What's
what's
up,
going
brother? How
on?
you doing?
Good, good, good. Thanks for joining us.
You tell I'm obviously in San Francisco.
You're
I'm just playing. Mentally.
Not a
Chicago.
bad place to be, mentally or physically.
Oh, you there too? You right down the street. I see.
Exactly.
No, I'm in Chicago though. Hello.
Me
Yeah,
too.
Nice to
yeah.
meet you.
We're all dealing with Chicago weather these days, man. It's
Nice.
crazy.
Yeah.
Too much going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's go ahead. We'll kick it off and like and record all of these. So folks who don't catch it, we'll send it out to them as well too. But welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. We started doing this because we believe, for free 99, you should be able to access everything else that everybody else is doing. So, appreciate you guys spending an hour with us. But this is a space where ask any questions. Jacques and I will go over like what happened in the last 30 days that we were really interested in and fascinated about. We kind of live in this space all day long, and we still are trying to keep up. There's so much happening, but Jacques, I can hand it off to you, kind of run down some of the things that you were like paying attention to and really digging into for the last 30 days, and then I'll kind of jump in as well.
Yeah, once again, welcome everybody. I appreciate y'all for joining. This is a virtual, monthly AI meetup, and like Bevon mentioned, it's free 99. So we're just giving away free game, free sauce, and like even though we have an agenda, like don't think of it as like we are in a sense like structure or anything. If you guys have any questions or have any issues or just have any like feedback that you want to talk about and discuss in terms of AI, please don't feel, I mean, please interrupt us and you can say something in audio or you can say something in the chat, but please, like, this is not us being formal. This is very informal. We want to have this and make it as like a conversation in a sense. So this month's AI stories is the headline arc is the invisible ink era, and the biggest AI companies have started invisibly signing what their AI creates because a new law made them. And the lesson for this is that the internet is starting to label its AI, but no label is foolproof. So use your own eyes and have like a family safe word because AI is getting, too good, it's getting too specific. So having like a family safe word will definitely do you and your family justice. So the reason why I said that AI is becoming invisibly sign it is because Europe's big AI law had kicked in on August 12th, right? And the EU's AI Act transparency rules are now live, which means that chatbots have to tell you that they're AI, and deepfakes have to be like actually labeled. So if you're using like an AI generation tool, you have to specifically label and say this is an AI generated video. That's currently going on in Europe, and they just passed that. And like Europe rules in a sense tends to becomes everyone's rule because that's how like the AI regulation and like the AI laws work. Once one country, starts to like put rules into its jurisdiction, then that starts to kind of like wave and move on to different countries. And now Claude, yesterday they just announced that they are now hiding invisible watermarks in all of their text. So all of like the output that you now get from Claude, meaning if you ask Claude to respond to this email or give me a response to my girlfriend or to my boyfriend text, Claude will now have invisible watermarks in each of its texts. And it kind of like tweaks how like so it said like Anthropic tweaks how Claude picks its words. So the text carries a hidden statistical signature. You can't see it. It survives copy paste, and it doesn't change the writing. Honestly, like that's what like a big discussion right now is on AI Twitter is the fact that Claude now has invisible watermarking, but people are saying that this is in fact going to change the quality of the outputs from Claude. So a lot of people are anti this, and just think about it like this. They were saying that what if you have like a written email that you wrote yourself or that you wrote yourself, and you just ask Claude, hey, I want you to translate this into Spanish. That's still your words. You're just asking for a translation, but now that will have that invisible watermark. So people are kind of like, if it's still my own, words and my own reasoning, why should I have an invisible watermark? So that's something that's kind of like big right now on AI Twitter. Bevon, you want to
Yeah,
add?
it's interesting. People have become very reliant on AI content, right? Writing stuff and all that. So now again, and then some pushback was like people are like, I'm paying Claude to use your application. And now, right? So there's this kind of back and forth. And I think we're seeing this AI kind of evolve into this bigger conversation around, what is real, what is not real, what can be detected as fake. Um, I know the people in the education space have been very happy to hear that news. Teachers and professors are like, yes, finally. Because I don't know if you guys saw the news. There was a teacher, a professor that made students like handwritten test papers, and the scores like plummeted like crazy. Because he was like, I wanted to show who's using AI, what that impact is on learning. So I think interesting development with the watermarking and the invisible kind of coding of content. They were already doing it with images already. If you were on LinkedIn, for example, and you uploaded something, you can see a little CR kind of mark on it. But Jacques could talk about this because he's done some of this. Every time there's a new development like this, somebody builds something to kind of undo it. And we saw that with Sora. We saw that with, right? People were building using AI to remove the watermarks now. So there's always going to be a back and forth. Somebody's always going to find some way. So yeah, Jacques, I know you've built tools similar to that too. So maybe do you think that people will eventually do that? I guess.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Sora 2, if you guys don't aren't unfamiliar with Sora 2, like the AI space, was ChatGPT, like famous AI video generation tool. And the thing with this is that like every Sora generation had like the Sora watermark, so you knew that Sora had created it because it'd be a funny, realistic video, but it'd have like the literal Sora logo right there. So people was able to find out that you was able to just use some type of AI generation tool to remove this watermark and just to add like a clear, transparent like filter over it. That way the logo got removed. So in a sense, now you don't know that it's a Sora made video. And I feel like that people is like they're always going to find ways to go around these different like AI like tools in a sense, especially because a lot of them have like false positives, right? With this, my first question was if somebody like can't they just like screenshot the text, right? And like I feel like that'll just knock off the invisible watermark. So things like that where I feel like people are always going to outsmart the system and the system is going to always trying to keep, coming up with ways to do things like create an invisible watermark and things to, beat the I guess the guy is trying to beat the system in a sense.
I'm curious, you may have said it before, but I might have missed it right at the beginning. But so it's all the companies that are actually coming out saying that they're starting to do that. Is it because is the original premise, and I don't know if the public announcements are actually saying this, like because they want to start um, branding, where then you can actually like branding the content that's being utilized for them, and then you can. I mean, there's like 1,000 different reasons you can actually list as like what are the pros for that, what are the cons for that. There's always going to be arguments on either side, and then to your point, the end user can ultimately probably figure out a way to actually remove it anyway. So depending on if you're an educator, does it make does it make it easier for you to catch, students who might be cheating versus, hey, if I create original content and, I use AI just to translate it, it's still original content. So there's obviously going to be just, like arguments back and forth on it, but I'm just curious what you both actually think, or if there was anything that the companies themselves kind of said in their announcements of this.
Yeah, I think the industry as a whole has been under pressure
Mm.
around misinformation, AI slop, as we call it, deep fakes. People I could take Jacquez's picture and put it on like we could do that with anybody these days, right? So that's been scams, right? Audio scams, like all that stuff has been prevalent
Yep.
in the political space. All that stuff
Mhm.
has been happening around elections and voting and all that. So I think all that's now being a culmination of like, listen, we got to do something about this. And this is one kind of way that they've kind of looked at it, like watermarking and stuff like that too. But
Mm.
what do you think, Jack was?
Yeah, so to restate that, I feel like that because of like the just the heavy use of AI slop and misinformation, these companies are getting pressure to do this. And then
Mm.
just on the fact that it's just like regulation. So like the driving factor is the EU's AI Acts Transparency Code, which took effect on August 2nd, and it now requires AI generated content to be marked and machine detected, way. So meaning that like anything that AI created or generated, you have to now label that. So I feel like they are being pressured by the regulators to start labeling this AI generated content in a sense, because I feel like that if they didn't have to do it, they probably wouldn't do it because they get a lot of like pushback from the whole industry in general, even from regular AI users. There, just off the example that I mentioned, if I'm using it to translate something that I already wrote, why should that be? Why should I have an invisible watermark? So things like that.
Even proofreading. So even if you write something yourself and you wanted to like proofread it for like formatting, even that's going to be marked as AI content or AI gen,
That's really interesting. And the fact that it's coming from like regulators in the EU who are actually regulating or trying to regulate this market, right? And then like maybe we don't know the same yet here in the US, but if these companies are US based or whatever, they're actually doing it across the board and just making an announcement, right? As opposed to, yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
The EU is very different, always miles ahead of the US market. So over the last kind of 30 days since we last met the last time, the thing that I've been paying close attention to is AI is shifting from like answering questions to completing tasks.
Mm.
And we've all heard about AI agents, but the way they've been they've been just moving at a crazy pace. I use them all the time. I'll give you an example. Had a book come out earlier this year. I actually been contacting conferences who work with high school kids, teachers, professors, college kids, recent college grads to do like bulk sales. So what did I do before an agent? I would have to go find all these conferences, where were they happening, you know, at least 3 to 6 months in advance, reach out to the organizer, like, hey, this is my book, or submit a proposal to speak or whatever it is. I have an agent now at 7 a.m. every day that literally just runs and finds all the ones that meet my criteria. And then I built a CRM and it feeds that CRM immediately and then creates a daily list of emails that need to be sent to all the organizers. And if they're not in if I don't have an email address for them, it goes to LinkedIn and finds the person I should talk to.
Did you just say you built your own CRM? You didn't even use, or you built an interface with an existing CRM?
No, I built my own CRM. But
Wow.
the AI agent is feeding it. It's going out to the internet and finding all the top conferences that I should attend
Yep.
or I can sell my book to at bulk.
Yep.
Right. And it's doing all the follow-up too. So if I reach out to Jacques in San Francisco, he's having a conference in 6 months. I ping him, I don't hear back from him. There's a cadence at which it'll go and follow up with him.
Wow.
And I don't do anything but just monitor. And then I also have it monetize that, like what would that potential sale be? And then for the whole next 12 months, I know, so it's just like all these ways that these agents can be used, right? In your day-to-day. So Jacques, I know you use agents as well. Do you want to talk about that?
You got a question,
Oh
Bevon?
yeah. This was in ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT to create a agent there, and ChatGPT has, I would say, Jacques made a comeback a little bit.
Yeah.
They were being pummeled by Gemini and then Claude, of course, but I'm impressed with some of the latest updates in ChatGPT as well too. And so yes, Spence, I use that to create those tasks.
And it's funny because I was just with Spencer the other day, and I was telling him that like a lot of people try to use like 100 different AI apps, and you could just use literally Claude and ChatGPT to do everything from vibe coding to creating AI agents to just pretty much everything in a sense. Where because he actually sent me like Manus earlier, and I was like I do like Manus, and especially because Meta had acquired them a few months ago, but we know
Yeah.
obviously that deal had went dead, but I was telling him that there's no point for you to try to learn these different tools when you can just learn and do everything from just the two, just the two basic ones, which is ChatGPT and Claude. The thing that slips people up is that they just strictly use the free versions of both of them.
Yeah.
You can just pay like the $10 version of ChatGPT or the $20 version of Claude, and I promise you, it's like day and night from like from the free version.
Jacques sent me something this week, which blew my mind. So Elon Musk is, his version of Grok and all that stuff. He built so now you can pretty much put a bunch of agents in a collection of agents together, like a
Grok,
team. They'll actually
Grokbot.
work as a team to actually create and manage all your tasks. And so if I have one that's looking for conferences for me to sell my book to, I have one that's trying to book me for speaking engagements, I have ones that's looking for consulting. It's all these like AI employees, so to speak, that you have. A team, you put them together, and together they will orchestrate together without your input to create. It's just like ridiculous what some of these things are doing. But that one I had not seen before.
Yeah, it was like people were saying like that was like the way that open cloud was supposed to be in a sense where because like straight out the box it's easy for you to use. The interface is pretty simple and you don't have to like go and connect and integrate these different plugins. It kind of automatically does it and it's training to learn based on as you give it more workflows and you give it more context, it's learning, learning more about you and just learning how to like make you operate more effectively. So it is cool, and I just put the name down below. It's called Grokbot, and it's free. I feel like that you guys should give it a try if you have time. But as Bevon mentioned, it's like a simple interface where you can have several AI agents doing different tasks, and it's simple, easy. It's easy to set up because there's no setup at all. You just start typing through the chat bot like you do with ChatGPT and Claude.
Yeah, we're moving away from AI that tells us how to do something to AI that actually helps us do it. So,
Hmm.
instead of asking AI to write an event plan or someone to go hire someone to go reach out to venues and research prices, develop a budget, build an agenda, prepare outreach, one agent could do all that, like literally do all that for you, right? For ChatGPT Plus, which is like $20 a month or whatever it is. So I think that's the new thing, right? That's where Sam Altman was talking about. He was talking this week about everyone's gonna have like their own. I think Mark Zuckerberg was saying too. He wants to give everybody their own personal, super
Hmm.
intelligent agents. Every single person has one. Again, there's pros and cons to all that stuff, but it's just crazy that 6 months from now, Sam Altman is saying that that's gonna be a reality where everybody has this personal kind of assistant.
Yeah, and then just to piggyback off what Bavon was saying in terms of like how the AI sphere is moving, it's definitely moving from that like reactive base in terms of meaning where you have to go in and ask ChatGPT, I want you to respond to this email, to something that's more like proactive. Proactive meaning like ChatGPT already read your email, it already knows your calendar, and now it's automatically drafting emails for you without you even having to ask it. That's being from yeah, like from being reactive to proactive. So it already is drafting, it's acting like how you would expect like an assistant or employee to act. It's already coming up with the finished task and you just look over and, make sure that everything is, on point.
Yeah, and I just put in the chat. You can give it read access. I would not give it permission unless you. I always am the person to click the button, so to speak, for
Hmm.
everything that I'm doing with these chat agents and AI in general. So just keep that in mind. You'll see a lot of connectors now across all these folks, all these platforms. I think this week, Claude rolled out for the Chrome extension. There's a Claude Chrome extension. Now you can do co-work in there.
Hmm.
So now the connectors are in there too, right? It's crazy. I was sending somebody an invoice and I was testing it out, and I just dropped the agreement, like the contract into the co-work thing, and I say create the invoice for me, and it did it. Like it looked at all the information from the agreement, the company name, the contact information, the email, the amount, and I was on my bank's website. I just created the entire invoice, and I just
Wow.
had to hit send. So think about accounting, think about billing, think about if you're a consultant, right? If you're a small business owner, right? Think about the things you could automate as well too.
So when you say like restrict, like how do you restrict? So when you talk about agents, and this is just a basic question for me, like is an agent or a conglomerate of all these agents that you kind of put together to do all of these different tasks? Are these like little things and little pieces of code that you're asking them to write so that it automatically kind of runs on a regular basis, but then you kind of just like you have a personal computer, which maybe you don't do any AI on, and then you have like a work computer where you have like all that stuff on, right? So you want to keep certain things, right? Like private, you don't want them to have access to, but and is that how you're doing it in terms of how you create the proper security for yourself?
So how I do it, if I use Claude as an example. So in Claude, I have so I think I'd mentioned this the last time. If you have a nonprofit, you could get Claude at a very steep discount. So I have an account, a kind of enterprise account for one of my nonprofits that I use. And so Claude has this concept of you're able to chat with your business. So think about a company, right? You have a business and you want to know, accounts payables, who owes you. You want to know what's going on in marketing, social media. Typical process is we contact someone, whoever's in charge of that. So now what it can do is you set up your account, you set up your company. I use Slack, I use Zoom, I use HubSpot, like all the things that you use,
Mhm.
you can add that in there in the connector thing, and now you can across your entire organization. That's what I do. Like I'm able to chat with Bevon's Mentee network. It almost becomes a thing, right? So now the agent, the AI is going to go out and say, hey, I spoke to Jacques 2 weeks ago in Slack about this event we want to do with the Chicago Public Library in October. I need us to come up with a presentation, a deck that we're going to present at that thing. We're going to speak at this thing. It's going to go across the organization and gather all that information and create a beautiful deck for us, or reach out to all the partners or the speakers that we need to do. So think about it that way. And then an agent is really just a system that takes your goals or your ideas and step by step, all the tasks, like I was describing the book thing. I literally spoke to it and said, I'm thinking about building a CRM for my book sales, and this is how I'm thinking about doing it. Help me brainstorm a task, a repetitive task, and that's 8 a.m. every morning when I wake up. I need to have a list of these 15 conferences to go after. And then it told me, maybe you could build in Lovable a CRM to manage that.
Wow.
Right? I wasn't even thinking about that. It told me that. It says, how are we going to track that? I thought that's a good idea. And then Lovable is connected to my chat GPT. So what did it do? It just built it. It just built it for me right away. And that was it. So Jacques, did you want to add anything there?
No, I feel like that you kind of just like answered everything for my questions. I think the last part of our question was like in terms of like giving it like unrestricted access.
Mm.
So I guess like for that, in terms of like giving it unrestricted access, that means just like if we talking about financials, like me personally, I'm not giving the AI agents or any AI chatbot at this given moment like access to like personal details like my financials or to my banking, or even me just not giving it access to like names of like different family members, just like things
Right.
like that. So
Personal
yeah,
information.
exactly. So like that's like giving it like restricted access. So unrestricted access is you just like let it just have free like like free will with everything from like your credit cards to being able to make Amazon payments. It's people who give it like access to everything. And Bavon and I were saying that right, like it's just not smart to do that right now. And just giving you guys a reminder that when you are like fooling around with these AI agents and AI workflows, to be cautious and to not give them just unrestricted access to anything from emails to, money, like, private files, even with like files on your desktop. Like I do give Claude and ChatGPT access to files on my desktop, but I make sure that I'm able to like approve every step because it has the power to delete every folder and file from my laptop. So just knowing that it has that power, but being able to have like the guardrails to know that, what's possible and, try to like prevent that.
It's interesting because I think the question is of course the assumption is you don't want to give it unrestricted access. The question is how do you give it restricted access? If I'm typing a command or I'm typing in something in AI and I forget to say like only look at these folders, right? On my desktop, like it's probably going to scoop up everything that's actually on there, right? Or one way to restrict that is literally the only way that I can think about it is like you have a personal, like you separate the hardware. You have like, a personal laptop and then you have like, a work laptop, so to speak, or something that you have where
Nah, so
you
like
just,
all right, so like the cool thing with like Claude and ChatGPT is that they have like different modes. So let me
Yeah.
see. Let me see if I
It
can pull
also
up a
it also has like read write only, just like so
Oh,
exactly.
right.
yeah,
Say
yeah.
read do only versus like edit and being able to delete files. You don't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I use Claude to organize so I download everybody has a downloads folder that's just crazy. Like we download
Right.
everything,
Right.
right? So yesterday I'm like, let me clean this up. And I didn't want to do it manually, so I asked Claude to do it for me. So
Oh,
all images and videos go into this folder, all PDFs go into this folder. So immediately, like in seconds, my entire downloads folder was cleaned up and it didn't delete anything. It just organized it for me, you know?
interesting. Yeah.
Let me show you how the tab looks. So I'm on the Claude desktop app.
Yep.
And right here, so if I'm just typing yada yada yada, you see right here, you have three different modes. So you can manually approve everything. So which means that Claude pauses so you can approve every step. The next step is automatically approve, and Claude runs on its own and pauses to ask if anything like looks unsafe, or if like if something is very important, then it's going to stop and ask you. Then skip all approvals is Claude never pauses, it just do everything.
Oh.
So like that's why it has like built-in guardrails in a sense, and it's kind of just like based on your confidence and just understanding of the different models and tasks that's at hand.
Interesting.
Yeah, the same thing with vibe coding, building, Lovable. We use a lot too. It always has option to click plan versus build. So if you turn plan on, it'll do similar, like it'll create a plan for you and help you think about things and even prompt you as well as like, hey, I see you're thinking about doing this. Maybe here's a better way to do it. Right. So it's always gonna like take your human input because yes, these things are not perfect at all. So if you let it run wild, it's gonna do some crazy stuff. So it's always good to have those guardrails on and have like human eyes on it.
Agreed.
Thank
So
you.
Brian,
That was helpful. That was super helpful. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
no, that's
Nah,
all right.
that's perfect.
Uh,
Okay,
what else you got, Jack? Was
I would say before we continue, did
yeah.
anybody else have like any questions or any tools or any just conversation about AI that they want to bring up? Like I said, we wanted to make this like a conversation in a sense.
Hey guys, it's Ryan Morgan. This is my first time joining one of these meetings, so thanks, Bevon, for the invitation. Uh, 30-second introductory. First came across contact with Bevon senior year of college, so he's pretty much like my pioneer to get me to CME, to give me my internship, to get me to where I am now as a senior engineer. And it's kind of crazy that we're having this conversation because we recently laid off a lot of people from our New York office because of this very reason, where we have the integration with AI, where a lot of the tools and agents that we're automating is doing a lot of work that they previously used to manually do. And I'm in a pivotal role where I see both sides of the fence, where I could find uses for the previous tasks that AI is doing, but we have to create and dig a little further for new tasks and new projects, i.e., the crypto project that we're working on for 7 day trading for FanDuel. So it's cool as hell, but it's scary as hell at the same time. So I think that I saw, I don't know particularly who said it, but it was a quote on LinkedIn saying that if you're not using AI in any of your daily activities, then you pretty much will lose your job. And I think that's 1,000% true. But that's like just crazy to me that we're having this conversation this early.
Yeah, man, the layoffs have been crazy. And I think there's some companies are pulling back now. Like they realize that they
Yeah.
move a little too quickly to lay people off because one thing we've learned is again, AI is so early right now. It's great and it works, does some amazing things, but that human part of it is still matters. Like someone who's been in that role for like 10, 15 years, they've seen so many different things, right? That AI has not seen ever. So I think in the fintech space, finance, like we're seeing a lot of like automation, right? There's a lot of especially on the trading side of things, right? It's people are like making AI platforms and agents and stuff to like trade the markets and stuff like that. It's just a lot happening as well too. So I think interesting to see. I mean, CME, right? They're more of a technology company than an exchange, right? So for them to be moving at that pace too is really interesting.
Crazy. Everything's moving so fast. And I appreciate you for joining, Ryan. Okay, let's get on to the next.
Yeah.
It's funny. I saw this week or last week, a guy used an agent to try to book a gym appointment,
Oh, yeah.
and the agent went in. The gym was booked already for that time slot,
Yeah.
and it actually kicked somebody off. Yeah, it
To
found a way.
create
Yeah,
to create a spot for him?
yeah, and then it couldn't be undone.
That's crazy.
So it actually found a way. It was not gonna stop until it found a way to get him that appointment that he wanted.
Yeah,
Wow.
that story had me crying, Bevon. So like the reason why AI was able to do that was because it was able to find like some type of like it was an error in the code base where it was able to get like a back end inside the code base and it was able to start changing things. And then he was able to change the like the person who was trying to get into the gym. Uh,
How did they even figure that out that that's what happened?
I guess the AI party gave it like its thought process.
Yeah, and the lady probably complained to who got kicked off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if any one of us were that person who originally scheduled it, not happy. If you were the person
Right.
who's trying to get in, you'd be like, yes.
But it's crazy, like what this, and I mean that goes to the point of like why the U.S. government had banned the model from Claude from Anthropic, right? Mythos, right? Because these things could now, on the cybersecurity side of things, literally break into anything. Even the federal government, it did it, right?
Yeah.
So think about China versus the US and all this, right? All the stuff that's happening. Think about those
Yep.
models and how they're being used, not for good purposes, but it's scary. And again, like I keep saying, it's so early. And I
It
think
is.
the best
It is
models
so
are,
scary.
yeah, the best models are not even, we don't even touch the best ones.
Mm-mm.
Right. They don't even have it offered. And the fact that like a lot of the leaders in some of these companies are like, we need regulation, just makes me even more like, ugh.
They know what's the thing is they know what's coming. Like they know
Yes.
what's coming. Like that's the
I
thing.
That's the thing that's a little bit scary, right? And that's still a little bit like my hesitance around like, yeah, um, using it, but I get it. Early adopters. I mean, that's the way it is like anywhere, right?
Yeah. And I think overall too, the cost of these models are coming down. Right. So
Yeah.
recently
Very cheap.
yeah, um OpenAI released GPT 5.6 and different options around that. And it's the speed and cost is coming down. So again, right, free market economy, all that kind of stuff. But Google also has a cheaper model now. Of course, we got the models, the open source conversation happening too, right? China is like killing it, right, with all the stuff too. So I think Jacques, what's your thought on this open source? Because in America, in the US, right, it's all about making money. And then China is flooding the market with like these free, awesome like models, right? So and then there's US companies, even like startups building on top of them,
Yeah.
right? So what are some of your thoughts on the open source conversation?
Yeah, so that was actually my leeway to the next conversation. Because Meta just dropped their new open source model yesterday, which is called Muse Glimmer. And what an open source model is that you're able to run these models locally on your computer. So let's say like ChatGPT and Claude. We was having this conversation last month at the last month's workshop where if you use Claude and ChatGPT, even like I'm gonna just be real and I'm gonna say like even if you click the option not to have it trained on your data, the fact that you are using a public model and a model that is like closed source in a sense, they are going to train on your model and on your data, right? So open source is the complete opposite, meaning that the information lives on your computer or on your phone or on your MacBook, and it doesn't have the like access and network to like the like internet in a sense, and it doesn't have like access to the cloud, meaning like your information can't get sent to the cloud because it doesn't have that direct correlation. And Bavon just gave a simple definition. So an open source AI model is an AI model whose underlying code and sometimes its training weights are publicly available for people to download, study, modify, and run themselves. So meaning you can take their code and run everything locally. You can edit on top of this code the same way that Bavon was saying that people are taking these Chinese models and running them locally, and then you're able to build your own model and build your own things for free from your own laptop. The only cost is the cost that it, takes to run these models. So some of the models are like bigger models in a sense, right? Where it takes big old PCs in order to run these models. And that means that this obviously costs money. But for instance, the model that Meta just dropped yesterday, they made this model where you were able to run this from your MacBook or just your regular laptop. So things like that, where you're able to run this model for free, is something that I'm always open to. And the open source models are getting like close to these closed source models. They get kind of getting neck and neck. So I feel like that as time goes on, obviously that's just going to make the closed source models more cheaper, because it's like if the open weight and open source models can't compete with the closed source models, it's kind of like, why am I paying X amount of dollars if I could just use a model that's kind of like it's on the same playing field, but it's not as good, but it's free or it's cheaper? Like, why wouldn't I just use that model if it's capable of doing the same thing in a sense?
Yeah. I think it's just interesting to see the costs come down, like I said. For somebody like myself, so I built some applications and stuff on different platforms. So for me, I'll give you guys a real world example. I built an application called Grant Logic AI to help organizations who are seeking grants find grants and find a match quicker. On the back end side of things, my cost has come down a lot. My compute cost, so to speak, like the AI that's used in the background, that's come down tremendously over the last couple of weeks because of the model I'm plugging into Gemini or wherever. Their cost is coming down, so my cost is coming down, right? So now I could compete on price, better. So, but I think when you're building a business on AI, gotta pay attention to that stuff. It's not we all see credits and all that stuff, but if you're building an actual business, pay attention to the compute on the other side, like which models are you plugging into and what are their prices. So when that price came down, immediately I was already monitoring that. So when I'm having a conversation for a subscriber, it's like, yeah, you want to do this, blah, blah, blah. No problem. Like in my head, I already know what is actually costing me, my time, the lovable credits, and then the compute on the other side. And the good thing about AI is now we can build a dashboard that you can see that in real time. You can actually see what your margin is, how much, like what does it make sense to charge people and that kind of stuff. It's just it's very interesting. And
That's a true example of vibe coding. While we on the topic of like API calls, I'm going to mention Open Router. So Open Router is a website where it has like all of the different APIs, which means that like all of the different AI models that you can use, and you can plug these APIs into your website. Let's say you have a cover letter generator, and in the back end, it's AI that's powering the different cover letters that's generating it, right? So anytime somebody plug in that information, that's getting ran through like an AI model like ChatGPT or Claude, which costs tokens and credits, as Bevon mentioned, and you have that already, queued into your back end. With Open Router, if you are using like something in your website where it doesn't need like reasoning, so let's say, right, exactly like the cover letter generator, you can use like a standard model like AI model to use this, rather than using like a high in depth, high reasoning model, to do this. And Open Router has free models. So for instance, for me on my website, I have a few different like top of the funnel like landing page generators, right? So I show up on ChatGPT and Google if someone types up things like AI marketing content generator. I have different landing pages on my website and different tools where people can come in and create, add their content, and then it automatically generates content for them. And then that allows me to like get their emails and stuff like that, right? Just the top of the funnel, tool. And I'm using a free AI model to do this. That way I don't have to go pay ChatGPT or Claude to run something like that, because that's like easy, and it's not anything that's like too efficient or too in depth where I need to go pay these models. So I'm just letting you guys know that you don't have to always pay for these AI models. You can use something like Open Router to use free AI models to run your business if it's needed.
yeah, I think it's interesting. Like I said, all these tools that are out. I mean, there's no shortage of tools, right? Every day there's a brand new one coming out. And when we first started doing this a couple months ago, we always kept saying people just want to know where to start. like people are so like inundated with information, the headlines and all that kind of stuff. But and that was the whole point of us starting to do these monthly things, is really just to drop all this information. We're experimenting with this stuff all day long. You know, every day we're sending chakras and I sending stuff back and forth to each other because I came across something, he comes across something, and it just kind of blows our mind. But I would say in general, just like, we had an event with the city 2 weeks ago on July 22nd with 300 young people, 18 to 24-year-olds on the south side. And that was Jacques and Jordan led 3 sets of workshops to young people. We had financial literacy, we had entrepreneurship, we had how to dress, soft skills, right? Every young person got a book. We had a company like buy 400 copies of my book to give to everybody, right? So it was called the Future Ready Summit. And we talked about a lot about AI. We showed them different tools. And these the majority of these young people, Jacques, were not even messing with AI, right?
No.
They weren't even thinking. They heard about ChatGPT, but what were they using it for? Nothing really, right? So, and these are young people looking for jobs or heading off to college, right? And I'm always concerned about the future of work. I'm always like the things we're talking about here, everybody should have access to, everybody should have, and it's free, right? And I think AI has leveled the playing field because for free 99, you can experiment and build things, right? And start businesses and stuff. So I think it's a great time. It's also a scary time, especially for young people. But what Jacques and I try to do all the time is literally try to use AI for good, right? How do we leverage it for good? And Terry, you would notice across the city of Chicago, there's no lack of nonprofits doing great things for young people. We don't need another nonprofit.
Right.
We need a single platform that bring them all together.
Mhm.
So every event I go to, everything that conference I get to speak at, I'm always meeting a great organization that I never heard of before who's been around forever, right? And I got frustrated, and we build things out of frustration as well because AI lets us do that now. We don't need permission at all. So BMN Connect is going to be a hub of all things youth serving 14 to 24-year-olds, and we will bring all that together. And we're doing it out without permission. What does that mean? Before AI, we would have to go to Metropolitan Family Services, After School Matters, the city of Chicago. We'd literally go around knocking on doors, sending emails, trying to get an introduction to somebody. We don't do that anymore. I build this to go out and actually do it for me. So After School Matters, DFSS, anybody who's serving young people in that demographic, our AI is going to go out and grab all the opportunities that they have and bring it into our platform.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So this platform subscribes to everybody's newsletter, for example. As soon as a newsletter comes out, we suck it in, spit it back out. So, and this was all done, within less than a day. So we have 1,200 active opportunities, 74 organizations, 10 jobs and internships, 84 education and training opportunities, 1,100 upcoming events, and 14 counties throughout the state of Illinois are represented right now.
Bevon, can you share your screen?
Yeah, I'll share it and show you guys. But again, this was born out of frustration, like I was saying, because I just was like meeting so many young people who are asking me, like, I'm interested in healthcare, I'm interested in that. I was like, well, I don't do that, but let me go find somebody for you. But I'm only one person. Terry's only one person. Ryan's only one person. How do we amplify and scale this? AI is a solution. So again, Chicago doesn't have an opportunity problem. We don't have a lack of nonprofits. We have a connection problem, right? So if you're familiar with My Shine, My Future, I'm not trying to compete with them. They're actually a source. We're pulling from them. They have a publicly available database of all the opportunities. So they're a source for us. We're actually a layer on top of what they're doing. So we're not trying to compete, but when they see this, and Jacques and I had young people that who came to the workshops on the 22nd test this out and give us real-time feedback. And 100% of them was like, we'll use it and we'll tell our friends about it. Because on here, you literally come in and just matches you based on your age, right? Your zip code and your neighborhood, right? You tell it what you're interested in, right? What are you looking for, jobs, etc. And the AI just goes out and matches you to all those opportunities. So this is individualized to you. This is not you trying to sort through a massive database of just a list of things, right? Events, opportunities, scholarships. Every night it purges the expired stuff. It brings brand new stuff in. I just expanded it to connect to the state, not just Chicago. So this is showing you education stuff. Like it's crazy. Now we could tweak this in a second and make it do anything we want it to do, right? So I think when we talk about AI for good, like that's our goal really is to connect young people in Chicago and the state, right? To the opportunities that they don't even know exist and really personalize it to them as well. So my goal is to onboard as many organizations, but we will have so many young people on here because the goal is to make this a go-to platform that they use for anything that they're looking for, you know?
This is pretty awesome. I would recommend adding, if possible, if it's not already there, organizations that they can leverage as well, especially if they're looking at entrepreneurship outside of your organization, of course, but just to expand the network. I really think this is cool because my whole success in the technical arena in cellular networks and engineering and project management was the fact that I had a huge network. I had developed a huge manual network, and it's really strong. But holy cow, this blows it away.
Yeah, and in the career section, we are very intentional about showing young people what the impact of AI is going to be on the career that they're interested in. So most young people aren't even thinking about that. Their parents aren't, teachers aren't, definitely. So this kind of career feature actually shows you the impact AI is going to have on that career as well too. So as they're trying to pick college majors, etc.
That's needed because you don't want to be having your kids or students learning for a degree that might not be there in 5 years. So just want to always be forward thinking in a sense.
Yeah.
Danny, I'm looking at your course, and you said my 12-year-old grandson started selling lemonade this month, and he created very good tasting lemonade. Okay, so in terms of the AI tools, he should start learning. Danny, can you be a little bit more specific? Are you talking about in terms of like marketing his business or like automating his like business operation, or are you talking about like him learning in terms of like school? Like what you mean in terms of like that?
Well, more for the business side, right? Because I think with school, he'll have to follow the rules and guidelines that they have there. But also, his mom and stepdad are kind of very careful because he's pretty sharp, and if he gets too involved, they're afraid that he'll leverage AI to the point where he won't want to do anything, right? So they want a balance. So I would say more on some simplistic things for him to start taking a look at better understanding his business. And then, summer's almost over. So kind of help him do an assessment of what can I now move into as well as, next summer, how does he be better prepared?
Hopefully,
That's
hopefully
direction.
save some of that money so you can invest it well. So we move
Well,
from,
he's got buckets for tithing, investments,
right.
savings, and money to spend. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the right track.
Yeah.
So my first thing would be because he already has a business, he already have a business, and in terms of like something that's simple, him creating stuff an AI website for his business, I feel like that'd be a great opportunity for him to start leveraging this AI technology while also it's helping his business without, going too far into like having him, just have the AI do everything for him, but creating a simple website is something that's amazing. And it's also like a big opportunity because now what if what if he know other like small businesses or like other parents who might have a business but they have no website? Now he can start charging them to create their website So something like that would be just an awesome start for him. That way he can start marketing his business. And truth be told, a website would just help him be able to showcase his business, even more. And in terms of like just operational things in terms of like the operation side of things, he can, like if he have an Instagram, he could like he can have like ChatGPT or Claude go through his Instagram and out of his Instagram page, his business Instagram page, and compare that to like other lemonade selling businesses to see what's something that he can post on his account that like that their followers are gravitating towards. That way he know the type of audience that he is, striving to get. He can start creating that type of content.
On that point, before we wrap up here, I want to give you guys an example of something that happened recently with a post that I put on LinkedIn. So I posted a picture. So the CEO of Anthropic, right? This guy, right? He made a comment that he's concerned that young talent are joining his company not to further the company's mission, but for money. And this kind of went a little bit viral on LinkedIn, right? Almost 40,000. But why did that happen? You guys are familiar with Reddit. So AI models actually mine Reddit a lot for information. And if you're on Reddit and things are being upvoted a lot, right? Those things are people are talking about it. So I found out there's a direct correlation between that and what happens on LinkedIn. Right.
Interesting.
So yes. So what did I do? I built an agent for that. So look at Reddit and see what's being upvoted at a certain threshold or whatever. Take that thing, turn it into a LinkedIn post. Right? Drives engagement like crazy. Because again, models are like mining certain places for information. And if something is being talked about a lot on Reddit, and a lot of people don't know Reddit is actually one of the number one places that models are looking for information.
For sure.
Right. So that's just like if you're into marketing and you're into like, that kind of stuff, just something that I found was like, well, let me see what's like trending, so to speak, on Reddit. Take that thing and convert that to a LinkedIn post. And this is kind of what happens. Like people went crazy, like trying to comment on it and all that kind of stuff and a lot of engagement. Right. So it's just interesting the things you can do with AI. Again, before you would need a whole team, you would need a bunch of people. And I think it just makes it super easy. So I know we're at time now, but any last questions before we wrap up?
Just not really a question, just a commend to you, Bevon, and Jacques for providing the space for us to have this open dialogue, but also the immeasurable effort that you put just to get us our careers and just to get us in this mentality to think above and beyond. I mean, there's nothing I could ever say or nothing I could ever buy to repay you for that. So I genuinely appreciate all of you guys.
No, of course. And you guys should know Ryan is the very, very first intern I ever placed anywhere. It was back in 2016 or 17, and he's still at CME, senior engineer, doing amazing things. But he was the very first one ever, Jacques, that started the whole thing, man. So he paved the road, man. Like he's a guy, he's a pioneer
Yeah,
in my world, you know?
yes, yes. Hey, shout out to you, Ryan, man. Without you, hey, I probably wouldn't be here. For sure, for sure. But
That's
no, I
awesome,
appreciate you.
Ryan.
Full circle, man. Full circle. And he's in my book. He's like one of the first people I reached out to grab a comment and feedback from. So I think one thing to just put on there, I'll send this out too, but planning an event around October timeframe around my book and just trying to bring Ryan, Jacques, and as many of you guys together. Folks from New York, LA, just a lot of mentees I've worked with over the last 10, 12 years together in one space as much as we can to just, reconnect, talk, and all kind of stuff too. So that's coming too. So I'll send it out to everyone as well.
Let's do it. Tyrone, I see you got your hand raised.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Well, I will be starting my gaming content coming up real soon. And I wanted to know how can I get that created because I already have all my like social media marketing and stuff on my pages now. So I wanted to know how could I be able to get that created? for the start my gaming creation.
Yeah, so you're talking about like what specifically, like in terms of like creating content behind it, or like what do you mean like in terms of like the like the gaming aspect of it?
It's basically game. Basically, I could show like all like basically like how so people can like interact with like my gaming content that I go on and I like upload on there, and then they can see they can actually view. I have like good viewership and everything, and so that's what basically based on the gaming itself. That's why I wanted to basically start with.
So
Gotcha.
something
So like,
interactive.
Yeah, some like being like interactive, like being interactive with people, like viewers, like they go on there and they see my views and they see like, oh, he's doing a great job with his gaming content and stuff. So that way it'll like go up. My interactions will go up, my viewership will go up instead of being it so low, during the time that I'm, like live streaming or things like that.
yeah, so like the I guess like the biggest thing in terms of like just getting more viewership, like if you're going live, because you obviously have to like create content and go live in order to even have people know about your content. So once you go live, you don't even have to go live for like a few hours. Go live for I'm not even a streamer, so I don't go live, but I know like the blueprint. You go live for a set amount of time every day, but then what the like what the actual sauce says is you taking that live and you clipping that up. So what you're doing is you're like creating like 20 or 30 clips from one stream. That's 20 or 30 videos right there from that like hour long stream. But you have different like parts of the video that you're going to put on your TikTok, your Instagram, and then you're just going to literally just upload as much content as you can. That's what it really is. Just like it's a numbers game, like truth be told, bro. It's a numbers game. And then once you find your format in terms of the format that the audience is actually resonating with, then you just keep doing that. But it's like you have to have enough output and content in order to know what's working. Because if you only have 10 videos, then it's like you ain't even put enough like sweat time in a sense. Like you really have to go in and upload 100 videos. That way now you know what's the pattern and what's the formula. Then you just keep rinsing and repeating.
Yeah, it is a numbers game and it is trial, and a lot of these platforms have you could actually test it out as well too to see what works, right? Instagram is good at that. Instagram has edits and a lot of great templates in there, and those things work. Like those things work for. I've seen it. Same thing with TikTok, YouTube. Like there is a formula, and if you stick to it and you're disciplined, and now AI can help you be disciplined because you can literally schedule these things and have it do it for you. Jacques does a lot of that stuff, right? So it's really being consistent, and now we have the technology to keep us consistent because we don't even have to think about it, right? It just does it. So I think that's why I saw YouTube like dropped like their monetization thing recently because AI is like killing them right now,
Yeah.
right? So organic content is king. If you post an organic regular picture, like that does way better than AI generated now. And YouTube is realizing when it comes to content, there's a lot of AI slop out there, and it's killing their monetization. So yeah, Tyrone, just Jacques has the source, man. Like he's a guy. He's a guy you want to follow and and pick his brain.
Okay.
Nah, yeah. We appreciate y'all for sliding, man. Like we doing this next month again. We'll be sending y'all the email in terms of like the next day that we decide on. But this is literally why we created this. We want to have this be a conversation. But Vaughn and I, we do a lot of AI workshops monthly, weekly, even daily sometimes. But we just wanted this to be like an open forum where we can just discuss whatever's on whatever on your mind, whatever's on our mind, the past 30 days of news, like even showing you guys, we wasn't able to show you guys a live workflow, but that's great because that means we had a great conversation and we didn't have to show you guys anything. So I appreciate y'all again for attending and thank y'all.
No, for sure. Yeah, thanks again, guys. And yeah, Ryan, I'll be reaching out to you soon, man. We overdue to grab lunch or something, man.
Absolutely. Lunch on me, I owe you.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
peace.
Bye.